Hello, pottery friends. First of all, we are going to go and organise some moulds this morning, but to get out of the door, little Pinky is here, just waiting. She's always waiting at the front door for my husband or me to come back home. And she's only 9 months old, so she's never left alone. There's always somebody here, but she just loves to wait near the front door. So today we're going to go and get some silicone moulds because I want to make a beautiful wonderland sort of little set for my grandchildren for Easter. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. So let's get going. We'll move little Pinky out the way and let's go down to the store. So let's get into making this beautiful little bowl. So I've already gone and obviously I've made the bowl. It's leather hard, and then what I've also done is I've also trimmed it. So let me show you. And I do have a shrink wrap machine, so that's why I've got it in this little bag so I can shrink wrap everything, which is pretty nice. So it's just a little bowl, and if you can see, I've already put the little bunny on the inside, which is so cute. So I'm going to decorate the outside, and I kind of like all these little extra lines. So I'm not going to have everything perfect because I really do like this, but it does need to be fairly smooth to put it on. But anyway, isn't it so darling? I mean, I just think it's beautiful. And then my thought is I've seen a particular glaze that I really love. I can't remember. I think it's a Mako one, so I'm going to go and order some of that anyway, and it has little specks of brown and white, and I just think that's quite beautiful. And this clay is a mid-fire clay that I'm using. I'm really liking it, so I like that one there, and I've also got a spotted one that I like from Ken's Ceramic, but this is Walker's mid-fire white. So anyway, let's get going. Let's make this, and I've got my moulds happening. I've also in here have a little bit of slip, and here I have some talcum powder for the moulds. So I'll show you how I'm doing all of that, and I hope you enjoy. Let's go. So now we've got everything here, like I said, and now we're going to just start to make this all beautiful. So before we even touch this, what we need to do is organize our molds. Now you do need to make sure that this is not too dry because that will cause a bit of a problem. So in here, we're just going to dip our little brush, and these brushes are only ever used for soap or pottery. Lots of you know I'm a soap maker. And now I did think there's some squirrels and some bunnies, but because it's Easter, I thought, you know, we'll stick with the bunny and the squirrel maybe. There's also some snowflakes, but we're in Australia and we're just not going to get snowflakes. So basically you just want to, you know, dab it like this. And the first time I did it, I actually didn't do this. What I actually did is I literally just put the clay straight in here, but it sticks and it was really hard to get out. So yeah, much more tricky. So then I'm just going to, you know, shake most of it out, and then, you know, you can see it's all in here. So just make sure it's in all the crevices. Now we're going to get a little bit of clay and push it into that. So I'll move this one out the way. And these are the ones that we did get from the cake store. They were $9.95 each. And the cake store I went to was I Dream of Cakes. And I do have my little bit of clay, which make sure you use the same clay because it needs to be the same shrinkage rate. And yeah, and then we're going to pop it on here. So I just kind of roll it into a little bit of a, I don't know, little sausage or something, because you want to make sure it all fits in here. And then all I'm going to do is push it in. So we'll start with the bunny first. And you really want to make sure it is 100% in every little bit. And then I'm going to trim the top off after. And don't use a knife because you might cut the silicone and then you've ruined it. And you want to make sure you can just reuse this as many times as you like. And I've always loved the Wonderland theme because Snow White is one of my favorites. So yeah, I kind of think that's pretty cool. So you can use anything you want, or just use any tool. And I just want to scrape away any of the top. So basically we're just going to scrape over the top of that. And once we sort of get the figure of the legs and everything, then we'll even it out a little bit better. Because, you know, you want it smooth on the back because we're going to attach that. So I'll show you once we get to pulling most of this off. And then we'll just push it again so that we know how much we need to pull off. I did actually use a plastic palette knife last time, but I didn't get that in time. So we're doing it like this. Smooth it off with your hands. We'll move all the extras away from his little legs because he doesn't need extra clay in there. And if you leave extra clay, it means it's just more for you to try and fix later. So that's honestly why I don't want to leave too much extra. If you miss anything, just poke a little bit extra in. And this is what it looks like. And actually, I've used molds like this before for my soap making as well. So, but I actually didn't have any of this Wonderland ones. I actually got rid of a lot of it. So now all we're going to do is just kind of go to the edge like you can see here, if you can see that, and, you know, pull away the edge. And this is a really fine one that I'm using. Like if you did like an acorn or a watermelon piece or something, it's going to be much easier. So the more finicky it is, the more tricky it is to get out. So, but if anything breaks off, it's not the end of the world. We can attach it back on later onto the piece. So, and you can also use a heat gun just to like make it a little tiny bit harder. And the one I did last time, actually, he was a bit tricky to get out, but I can see he is slowly coming out of the mold. And you can make sprigs, of course, in, you know, clay, but this mold is a little hard to make a sprig with because it is so delicate. So let me just get his little leg out. Like I said, last time I actually broke off a few pieces, which I've just done then, but that's okay. We can fix this. So this is the main bit of him. And now that he's out, the mane of him's out, I'm just going to reattach his back little leg. Like I said, I mean, if you have a look at that, how tiny it is. But typical me, I always want things that are, you know, more difficult to make. So let me just double check where this little bit's going. So, and you know, he doesn't have to be exactly the same. And don't worry about the powder because that will actually burn off in the kiln. There's no problem with that at all. Touch his little leg. Just going to put his leg back. And he's so tiny, it doesn't matter, really. And he does have two legs, but I kind of feel like he almost doesn't need the second leg at the front. So this is basically what he's going to look like. As I said, it's no big deal. Let me just take that little silly one off because I didn't like that. And I'm going to attach this one here. And when he's on the piece, we're going to brush it anyway. So put his little tail on. So now we've got the piece here. So I've got the rabbit, if you can kind of see here. So I think I want it at the front to sort of show here. And my idea was either I can put two rabbits, one on either side, and this little piece here. But I just thought it would look good to have the main rabbit in the front and then the little ones at the side. So I might actually even only put one rabbit and then two of the little squirrel. So what we're going to do is just use a little bit of slip. And this is really watered down slip because you don't need that much. Because the more you put on here, the more you're making this wet, which I don't want to do. And we're just going to give it a little score, nothing too much because otherwise I have to fix everything. And he's going to attach. I mean, it's very little, the bit that I'm doing. So anyway, let's pop him on. And basically that's what we're going to do is just pop him on wherever you want. And his little ears are sitting here. I'm just going to put a little bit more slip under here on his little feet. And almost dipped it in the wrong one, didn't I? Do a little bit more here. And we're just going to move his little tiny toes wherever we want them to go. Push everything down. And if you feel like anything needs to be adjusted, we'll adjust it. This is what he's going to look like. Then I just sort of like get rid of most of the slip and then just go around the edge here. Just to make sure he's really stuck down. Paint any bit that you want to smooth off. And that's what I mean. That's why it's not so important to be perfect at the start, because we're going to like smooth him down. And I know my grandchildren are going to love this. Even my daughters will just think it's beautiful and is something they can keep from grandma. And that's what my little beautiful grandbabies call me. So I have 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. So Ali is the granddaughter. Then I have Xavier, who's the oldest grandson. He's at school now. Then I have Teddy and little baby Charlie. So it's a little bit lovely, isn't it? So hopefully you can see him. And still wrap him up in plastic, you know, so that it's going to dry and not crack. And I mean, you never know what's going to crack, do we? I mean, we know pottery, that's a part of it, isn't it? So anyway, and I hope you think that's cute. Like if you kind of see him here, and then when you have a look, he's here. So now we've done that one. Let's just set him aside, and you know, make sure you give him a little push so that he's pushed on tight. And of course this is fragile, so we need to be quite gentle still. I'm just going to put a little bit more because I thought that I didn't put enough maybe before on the bunny. And let's just push this in. And what I did as well with the clay is I left it out for a little while and then put it back into a container just so that it wasn't like super sticky, because if it's super sticky, it's harder to get out of these molds. And I mean, honestly, the best molds that you can have are, you know, the ones made in bisque fire or plaster, not what I'm doing here, but this mold's a little bit hard to make, although I did tell my husband, who has a 3D printer, he just got one. I said, maybe you can make me something like this. So I'm sure I'm going to be annoying and get him to try and make me a Wonderland theme. Because for me, even with soap making, I like to actually make things in themes. I just feel like, kind of like I said, it reminds me of a bit like, you know, when you go to a gallery and everything's like in a beautiful theme. So here we go. That's a little squirrel. Let's pray to the pottery gods that it's going to come out well. And like I said, you know I've made this hard for myself because I've got the most finicky mold I could probably find in the whole cake shop. And the cake shop I went to, they have thousands of molds. I mean, you know, so many. We'll take that little bit off because I think that's... And like, if you can kind of see, it does like a little bit crack because I'm trying to get this tiny little... And it's like 1/2 mil thick. It's so thin. And that's why I'm making it hard for myself to try and get this. I could have put more powder, but then I have to try and get it off and it will drive me crazy. So anyway, like I said, I make things hard for myself, don't I? But look, as long as it looks beautiful in the end. I mean, I don't know whether making these in production would be easy, but... And now we got him out, so now let me show you. Doesn't he look darling? I mean, so cute. Oh no, and I dropped the mold in my water bucket. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We don't need that for now. I'll fix that in a minute. So, and now because he's on here, I kind of feel like he should be here. So I'm just going to put this little mark so I know this is roughly where I want it to be. Not that it needs to be scored much at all. It really doesn't need to because it's so thin. He's going to attach to just to this slip anyway. And then let's just kind of pop him in the center. I want him to sit in the center, so I'm just going to push him up a little bit. If you see, I've pushed him up and just so that I can get more slip behind him. And don't worry about how much slip you use because we can fix that later. Like make sure it's like right around the edge. And I'm just going to lift his tail up just to make sure I've got lots under that. And I don't know whether any of you have ever seen or have any, but if you have Wedgwood or you've seen Wedgwood plates, this is basically what they do. This is pretty, I mean, obviously much better than what I'm doing, but that's the whole idea of just putting tiny pieces on to decorate it, and it gives that 3D beautiful look, which they've been doing for hundreds of years, I think. So this is not like a brand new technique, but it's one I love. And then what you can do is you can really bring the animals out to life with underglaze. So I'll bring you back another different video when I actually underglaze them. But if you can kind of see, so we've got our bunny here, and then we've got our squirrel. Isn't it cute? And then inside, that's what it's going to look like. I just think it's beautiful. So, and I know my little grandbabies are so going to love it. I did think of writing their name, but then I thought, oh, no, maybe I won't. And make sure you do push down the outside. Like when I'm looking at a different direction, it wasn't like totally pushed down. So you want to make sure that we're pushing all the edges tight. Otherwise it will crack and it will just pull away in glazing. Sorry, in firing, not glazing. So it is important that you really get the brush and go into all the little bits and push everything down. And like I said, and then we've got to just pray to the pottery gods that it all works. The one I did inside's already done. I did him a day ago, I think. And like I said, if it's not absolutely perfect, it doesn't matter. So anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed watching me just make something a little bit creative. Doesn't it look so sweet? Really sweet. And of course we're going to glaze this. It's going to be mostly glazed. I mean, you could put some wax resist on this if you wanted this to be a matte, but I'm not going to. I'm going to glaze it all with some beautiful glazes, and I might leave the bottom bit sort of raw so that it just has a beautiful pottery natural look. Anyway, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.